Welcome to the latest episode of Sheff Talks.
Yo, thanks, Matt, so much for having me.
All right, today we're doing something a little different. We're not just explaining a topic, we're kind of becoming digital detectives. We're gonna crack a case, deciphering a piece of text that, honestly, looks like complete gibberish at first. You ready? Let's dive in. So, get a load of this. Another good sense eater also has an opposite word to it. I mean, what on earth is a sense eater? It sounds like something from a sci-fi movie, right? Well, this single, completely baffling line is our central mystery. It comes from an auto-generated transcript, and it's our job to figure out what was actually being said. So, you gotta ask, where did this digital enigma even come from? Like any good investigation, you've gotta start at the source. And here is the absolute best part, the twist. This totally garbled text, it's from a YouTube video titled Learn English. Seriously, you just can't make this stuff up. A lesson that's supposed to give you clarity has instead given us, well, pure confusion. And honestly, that just makes this whole puzzle way more interesting. So that brings us to the big question, right? How does a lesson designed to teach English, of all things, end up so incomprehensible? We're talking beyond a simple typo here. This is a total breakdown in communication. All right, time to put on our detective hats and start digging for clues. All right, section 2. Let's decode the fragments. You know, any good detective starts with the evidence. So we're going to break this problem down piece by piece and look at the fragments one by one. Okay, clue number 1. We've got this recurring phrase in the transcript, a set test and a set test. At one point, it even says something about practicing a set test a day. So this is clearly a key part of the lesson. But what could it possibly be?
So let's brainstorm a little. What could a set test mean? Could it be a typo for the SAT test? Probably not, doesn't really fit the context. How about a self-test? Okay, maybe, we're getting warmer. But what if the speaker has an accent and the transcription software just misheard them? What if they were saying a sentence test? Now that feels like a really strong lead. Let's keep that one in our back pocket.
And that brings us right to clue number 2. And folks, this is the big one, the core of the whole puzzle, the term silence etter. I mean, this is the part that sounds like absolute pure gibberish. This is the real heart of the mystery. I mean, seriously, what in the world is a sense eater? It sounds like an alien species or something. But wait a sec, hold on. Remember our last clue? That theory about a set test really being a sentence test? Well, if that's true, could sense eater just be a really, really scrambled version of the word sentence? Okay, and here it is, our final clue. This is basically the key that's gonna unlock this whole case. And believe it or not, the transcript just gives it to us. Buried deep in the text, it says something like, yes, you guys did try, it's late. The answer is late. So we have the solution. Now we just have to work backwards and figure out what the original question was. All right, time to reconstruct the lesson. Let's lay out the evidence. We've got a probable sentence test. We've got the word sentence getting totally mangled into sense etter. And we have the final answer, which is late. It's time to put all these pieces together and see what this lesson was really about. And here we go. This is that aha moment. Suddenly, it all just snaps into place. Look at this. Sense etter has to be sentence. A set test is definitely a sentence test. And check this out. There's another bizarre phrase in there. Improve our equation, which now makes perfect sense as improve our communication. The AI was just picking the wrong words that sounded similar. But that leaves one last little piece of the puzzle. What is word ed? Okay, now this next part is a really clever bit of forensic linguistics. The transcript says, this was some information about word ed. Okay, so we know the answer to the test was late. What's the opposite of late? Early, right? Now try this with me. Say the word early out loud, but say it kind of fast. The word early. Word ed. Word ed. See? To an AI with a tin ear, that could absolutely sound like word ed. It's this brilliant little phonetic leap that just locks the whole theory together. It all fits. So let's just replay the scene as it must have happened. First, the speaker says a sentence. Second, that sentence has our test word in it, early. Third, the speaker asks for the opposite of that word. And fourth, the audience gets it right and answers late. Boom. It's a simple, clear, totally logical English lesson that was just buried under all these layers of digital confusion. I think we can say, case closed. So yeah, we solved the puzzle, which is awesome, but this whole little case, it really points to a much bigger idea, doesn't it? It's about the constant challenge of trying to find the signal in the noise. And look, this isn't just some funny little internet glitch. It's actually a perfect example of how the automated systems we rely on every single day can totally fail us. They can create confusion at the exact moment we're looking for clarity. But there's one last thing, one final piece of evidence that, I gotta be honest, I just can't explain. In the middle of this simple English lesson, completely out of the blue, the transcript spits out this line, what products will be developed first and when will they arrive? I mean, what? It has nothing to do with anything. It doesn't fit the pattern. It breaks the logic. It's just there. And that right there, that's the ghost in the machine. It's that moment you realize that sometimes the noise can't be decoded because it's not a messed up signal. It's just noise. A completely random error that defies any logical explanation. It's a pretty stark reminder that these systems, as powerful as they are still far from perfect. Which kind of leaves us with one last big question, you know? As our world gets more and more filled with AI-generated text, images, and audio, this skill we just used, the ability to look past the surface, to spot the errors, and to decode the real meaning, that's becoming more important than ever before. So maybe the real puzzle isn't just what the machine wrote. It's about how we, all of us, learn to read between the digital lines. Thanks for joining me on this little investigation.